Chris Hegg again. I brought you to Rough Creek. Tell you a story that I had when I was a kid, what I got to witness. That's what's considered an enigma, but in reality, more and more bones are found every day. But when I was a kid, a few miles from here, upriver, a friend of mine, a mentor, Victor Cree, found his son actually found a mastodon bone, and it was the front joint, and it turned out, and he sent it to a museum to get looked at, and it was both the top and the bottom of the left or right, I can't remember which of the front mastodon joint. But the interesting thing of this big bone structure was it was actually broke into and carved all the way around on both sides of this double-ended joint. So there's actually two bones found, and to get to the marrow, and the obsidian axes that they used to break into these, the sharp edges of them are actually still broken and left into the cracks of this bone, which, of course, mastodon, when we were growing up, they told us in school that man didn't exist here during the mammoth and mastodon era, and then if they did, it was very few, a couple hundred at most. And of course now there's like 23,000 sites where the Clovis point has been found across the United States. And just now they found, supposedly, the Kennewick man has closest genome when they did DNA testing was to Indians, which makes absolute sense. When you have 10,000 years plus to breed into other cultures that were here too, or even the same culture, just modified. And they're finding that Clovis was just another man that was here during that time. I suggest in my book and in my research that man has been here far longer than that, by almost 10,000 years, maybe even more. But the petroglyphs that were here shows that they probably cultivated the mastodon here. Just up the hill there's a big valley, and it was blockaded in a lot of places, and it's a natural pen for such big animals. And I don't think they hunted them in the terms that archaeologists lead us to believe, that we're in a linear state of progression and we're smarter now than we were then because of Darwinism, and it's fictitious. They knew well what they were doing, just like us. They raised animals too, except they raised very big animals like mastodons and herds that they could cultivate through the year, and they successfully raised them and butchered them just like we do, and used them for growing, and for same thing we use cattle today for, not too long ago, for pulling plows and everything. They did this, and on the petroglyphs shows that they cultivated several things here. One of them was pine trees. They had the pinyon pine wasn't here before them. They actually planted it throughout the entire western United States, and that was one of their food sources that they actually cultivated. Dropped the seeds on the ground, and just like Johnny Appleseed, they grew. And in this area, they took over between the old growth trees that were here once before they were mined out in the mining boom in Nevada and most of the West, turned into charcoal and wood for trains and everything. But before that, they were actually planted in between the trees, and today we have, and the Indians had, pine nuts that get very large here and we cultivated. So not only did they have maize here, they had wild berries, they had wild fruits, all the way up to pinyon pines and mastodons. There was normal farmer growth around here 12 to 16,000 years ago. It was icy. There's ice caps not too far from here that were up on the hills, and they were living on the fringes, but they had a lot of water, a lot of resources in the springtime through fall time. And it was a rough winter. I don't know if they stayed in this area, but the petroglyphs certainly show that they were here most of the year, a group of them were right in this zone, and that mastodon bone, I've been trying to find more. I haven't found a camp up where they've thrown this into a volcanic pile, but it certainly shows that they were not barely living, they were living well around that time. And they were very intelligent, very highly intelligent, making spear points that were huge to penetrate the bigger animals. Even if they just herded them and had to kill them, it still took a mighty spear and a mighty knife to kill these things. So that stuff's certainly around here, and I wanted to bring you right to the source of one of the things that changed my whole opinion when I was young of what archaeologists were shoving down my throat, and realizing that that's not the truth. And what I've seen come out of this area far surpasses any dates that they've given us in school in the textbook examples, and even try to shove down our throat now to keep the Darwinism theory alive. But it's quickly falling apart, and I'm glad to be part of that process. So stay tuned for more of my episodes as I get around my old backyard and report to you on some of these findings, and we'll get up to these petroglyphs in a future documentary.